Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video I have a review and kind of just a look at a saber that I've very briefly shown off on the channel before, but I've never actually done a video on it or shown it off in any way, shape, or form that is, actually informative or anything of that nature. This is a saber that completes my trio of sabers from Sabertrio, so I now have a Sabertrio Saber Trio. This is an Arclyte. This is in the mirrored silver finish, and this is not a NeoPixel saber, but it is a Tricree saber. At the time of filming this is my only non-NeoPixel saber I own, and this is also my only non-smooth swing saber I own, because this is the FX variant of the saber. This is an older FX variant. If some of you have been keeping up with Sabertrio over the past, this year, 2021, then you know that they moved from the Pico Crumble 2.5 soundboard, which is in this, to CFX for the FX variations of their sabers. In the Black Friday reopening, they did not sell FX sabers. They only sold CFX Profi NeoPixel sabers, and they also sold stunt sabers. They did not sell the FX sabers. My guess is because they wanted to sell the Neo sabers with CFX, because that's kind of like their big ticket item. That's what they're known for, and they didn't feel like putting those to use with the FX versions. I'm not exactly sure what went into that decision, or if that's even why, but that's just my guess. But this is an older saber that I picked up secondhand probably 2 or 3 months ago. So this is my third saber trio. If you've been watching my channel, you know I have now this Arclyte, as well as this Vectra, which was my first saber, and then my newest saber, which is the Solo Guard. I've talked about both of those two sabers extensively on my channel already, and this one I have not really shown too much. I think I very briefly showed this in my review of my Solo Guard, but I can't really remember. So that all being said, this is an FX saber with Pico Crumble 2.5, so it does not have smooth swing. However, the sound on this thing is really good. And if you have one of these sabers, then you know what I'm talking about. Sabertrio's resonance with their speakers and the way that they machine their pommels and all of that stuff, the resonance is top notch all the time. The speakers that they used in the previous versions of their sabers were 28mm Vecco speakers. This one has one because it's an older variation of the saber. I'll unscrew the pommel so you can see what I'm talking about here. There's not much in the chassis because this is an FX saber. It's not a NeoPixel saber where you're going to make edits to the board or anything like that. So that's the 28mm Vecco, and I'll kind of slide it out. You have underneath here, I believe, is where the Pico Crumble 2.5 is. It's covered up so you can't access it. And on the other side, you have a removable 18650 battery. But that's really the chassis, and they have a recharge port, so you can recharge your saber with a recharge port and a smart charger that Sabertrio sells, or you can use a removable battery system. You can take out the 18650, charge it, put another one in, all that stuff, just like pretty much all the Sabertrio sabers use. They all have recharge ports, and they all have removable batteries. So this is the pommel here. Fairly basic design for a Sabertrio pommel. Definitely not as intricate as the Solo Guard's pommel, but a little bit more intricate than the Vectra's pommel, which is pretty much wide open. The cool thing I was just playing around with, and I'll kind of show some shots in this video here in a second. I was messing around with these pommels with all three of these sabers, and I realized all of Sabertrio's pommels are threaded exactly the same. So you can interchange pommels between all Sabertrio sabers. That does not mean you can interchange pommels from one saber company to Sabertrio's, or from Sabertrio's to a different company. They all use different threading. Sabertrio has their own version of threading, and this is pretty cool. Some of them might be cursed, some of these variations that I've kind of messed around with, but some of them actually look pretty nice. Actually, the Arclyte with the Solo Guard pommel on it looks really cool, and I like that. The Vectra pommel fits perfectly on this Arclyte. It's black and it's very, low profile, so it kind of really just matches the aesthetic of the Arclyte, which is meant to be a very basic ergonomic spinning and dueling saber. And that's kind of why I picked this up. I don't do any dueling or anything like that. I'm not a spinner, I'm not out there spinning on TikTok or anything like that. But I just wanted to pick this up because I saw someone selling it for a pretty good price, secondhand, and it's a very comfortable saber. I know K-Sith, I believe he has one of these. Correct me if I'm wrong, Keenan, but he has one of these and he loves it. He believes this is actually one of their better models. Even with all the great models that they already have at Sabertrio, he believes this is one of the better ones because it's so simple and it's so easy to use. This choke point right here is very nice. When you have a blade in, it's a little awkward holding it without a blade. but it feels great with the blade in. This section here is kind of like a knurling. It's kind of like, you know, that texture that's on the middle of an anti-flex, and that's kind of what this is like, but it's slack, and that's probably anodized. So you got the CoverTech wheel right there. This is a very, very light saber, and it's also very, very small. It's called the Arclyte. Some people call it the flashlight because it is so basic, and it really does just look like a flashlight. But I really do like the saber. It's very comfortable. It's very easy to mess around with. It's very light. And I'm actually going to show you the product listings here so you can see what I'm talking about when it comes to how light it is and how comfortable it is. So I have Sabertrio's website pulled up right here. This is the stunt version. This is not what this is. This is an FX version. So it's not currently listed on the site, so I can't pull that up. But this is a mirrored silver finish. There are some nicks and scratches. As I said, this is a secondhand saber, and I really didn't mind any of that because it's a beater saber. So I picked this up, and I really like the way that the mirrored silver finish looks as compared to the brushed silver, which I already have with the Solo Guard. So I really like it. But the full length of this Arclyte with the regular Arclyte pommel on it, 260 millimeters, 10.25 inches, 37 millimeter average diameter, 1.45 inches, and the weight is 360 grams, 0.8 pounds. This is by far the lightest saber that Sabertrio sells, and you can definitely tell that. It is very, very comfortable, very easy to spin around. The balance is absolutely perfect. They nailed this one when it comes to the balance, and I'm willing to bet that the stunt version of this is even more balanced. Like I said, this is an FX version, so the weight might be a tiny bit different because of the tech that's inside of here, but for the purpose of this video, I can't actually access the FX variant of this saber, so I can't really give you a direct comparison. This has a gold illuminated switch, and it has a brass CoverTech wheel, and those are the only real additions to the base saber. As compared to the Vectra, which is the other one I have a Vectra Dark Edition. This is 297 millimeters, 11.7 inches. So compared that to the Arclyte is 10 and a quarter inches, and the Vectra is 11 and almost 3/4 inches. So that's a huge difference. Almost 2-inch difference between the Arclyte and the Vectra, and you can see that. I'm holding them pommel to pommel right now, and that's actually quite a large difference. But nonetheless, the Vectra is still really comfortable as compared to it. It doesn't feel in any way cumbersome. It's just that the Arclyte is so small that that's where that comparison comes into play. Average diameter 36 millimeter on the Vectra, 1.42 inches as compared to the Arclyte, 37 millimeters, 1.45 inches. So the Arclyte is actually a little bit thicker in the grip section than the Vectra, and in terms of weight for the Vectra, 420 grams, 0.9 pounds, as compared to the Arclyte, 360 grams, 0.8 pounds. Not a huge amount of difference there, but there is a noticeable difference between the two. And then comparing the Solo Guard, the newest of my sabers, the Solo Guard is 299 millimeters, 11.8 inches, barely longer than the Vectra, the Solo Guard is, but it is quite a bit longer than the Arclyte is, and you can definitely tell that just by looking at the two. Pretty large difference in length between the two, almost 2 inches of difference. So the average diameter, 1.45 inches, 37 millimeters, is actually the exact same as the Arclyte, and that's exactly what I feel. I can definitely tell that these are the exact same diameter of sabers in terms of the grip sections, and the Solo Guard is 500 grams, 1.1 pounds, as compared to 360 grams, 0.8 pounds. So that is a difference of about 140 grams or 0.3 pounds as compared to the Arclyte and the Solo Guard. So that's about it for this video. I'm just going to show off a little bit of the features. There's not a whole lot of features with the Pico Crumble 2.5 soundboard, so I'm just going to show them off here in a couple minute clip at the end of this video. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, enjoy the rest of the video, and may the force be with you.